The Dunwell Report continues.
Our guests are Vice Admiral Dennis McGinn, who serves on the CNA Military Advisory Board, and Matthew Rojansky, who is the Executive Director of the Partnership for Secure America. We're talking about energy issues and to some degree also global climate change. And let me just visit that for just a moment. That's a controversial topic when you start talking about climate change. It's controversial on two fronts, it seems to me. One is it happening? And B, the other one is it man-caused, or is man-made efforts? Are they contributing to it? Does this matter to the position that you folks are taking?
It really doesn't, Don. We'll let the scientific debate play out, but from the national security perspective, the Military Advisory Board took the following view, based on our chairman, retired Army General Gordon Sullivan, who was the Chief of Staff of the Army. He said, look, guys, we never have 100% certainty. And if you wait for 100% certainty on the battlefield, something bad is going to happen. And in the face of indicators and warnings that something is happening out there in terms of the climate, we need to take pragmatic and prudent steps to position America to deal with that. If we focus on energy security and go about achieving more energy security, economic security, and prosperity in the right way, the good things that could happen as far as climate change will happen. So let's focus on energy security.
Well, talking about energy security, what we're talking about here is trying to cut ourselves off from this umbilical from the Middle East, which has been heavily petroleum reliant. How do we do that?
Well, I think we have a set of challenges that are in themselves really opportunities. Obviously, the first challenge is political. We've got to recognize what we're facing, and then we've got to have the willpower to do something. And you were absolutely right, Don. Washington today is not a place that you look for willpower and optimism and getting things done. That's got to change. I think the way that it changes is that you look specifically at something that does galvanize Americans. That's the threat from Iran that we have today. Those folks are using oil revenues very directly to purchase sophisticated weapons, shaped charges that can punch through up-armored Humvees, mine-resistant vehicles, obviously some of those sophisticated IEDs that we have sourced directly to Iran. That is literally being bought by our dollars when we ship over $1 billion a day out to the Middle East to buy oil.
So every time I put a gallon of gas in my car,
you bet you. A couple pennies. That's right.
Buy that.
Absolutely. And of course, the great irony, as some smart folks like Jim Woolsey, former director of the CIA, who've worked with us on this, will tell you, these folks who are pulling up to the pump, particularly where we're from in the Washington Beltway area, which is basically a parking lot most of the time, driving a big SUV, one driver in it, they've got that support our troops ribbon on the back, pumping 30 gallons of gasoline into that thing at $3 a gallon, and who knows, it could be $4 or $5 next month. That's money that they're sending overseas. And so what Jim Woolsey says is, if you want to know who's funding the terrorists and the insurgents, just look in your rearview mirror when you pull up to the pump.
Good point. Now, I want to sort of make a big shift here because we haven't fully addressed the question of how we're going to wean ourselves off this and turn to other things, but I think you've alluded to some things. The Navy for years has used nuclear power as a mainstay of getting its vessels around the 7 seas and so forth.
Right.
Is that an answer for America?
It's part of an answer. As one of my colleagues on the Military Advisory Board said, there isn't a silver bullet for our energy needs, but there's some silver buckshot. And one of those pieces of silver buckshot is nuclear power. It produces about 21% of our total electrical needs today. And that could probably be raised to around 30%, perhaps even 40% over the next 30 years. But it's going to be a slow process. It can be a safe process because the Navy has a great record of safety and reliability using nuclear power in some very exotic places like thousands of feet under the sea in submarines and in harm's way on aircraft carriers. So it can be done. But it isn't the only answer. In fact, there isn't any silver bullet. Going back to oil, there are a lot of folks that say the only thing that's standing between us and oil independence is these environmentalists preventing us from drilling when and where we need to drill. We've got the resources. Fact of the matter is, this is a nation that uses 25% of the oil produced every year and controls only about 3% of the world's known reserves. We simply cannot sustain our economic security and our prosperity by drilling our way out of this problem. We've got to expand our energy choices beyond oil, beyond all fossil fuels, and do it in a way that transitions us slowly, in a way that doesn't hurt the economy, in a way that doesn't hurt our quality of life.
All right, we'll pick up on that point when we return. We'll be back after this word.
The Dunwell Report returns after this.